Okay, this is the work that would go along with graphing example B. We have some of the work on the board already. The x squared means we're degree 2. The negative x squared indicates our function is going to open down. Before we talk about the maximum, this is where we have to do some of your computer skills. If you want to try and go to that calculate area, and under calculate this time, you got to pick maximum because you're going to find the highest point on the curve. You have to pick a left boundary. So gain somewhere on the left side of the maximum, you're going to press enter so you get a triangle. And then somewhere on the right side of the maximum, you're going to press enter again so you get another triangle. Then you want to guess in between. And when you guess in between, you should get that blinking point up top here. And that blinking point up top should say x equals negative 1.5 and y equals 12.5. So a little bit of calculator work in regards to knowing how to find the highest point of the curve. So the maximum value then, maximum value is 12.5 for our function. And if that's the highest point, you can talk about your range then, going from 12.5 all the way down to what, negative infinity. So all of our y values are less than 12.5. So the maximum value is 12.5, and your range shows that all the values are less than 12.5 as well. Domain we skipped over. All the domain of all these functions is going to be all real numbers, as there is no square roots and negatives, no dividing by 0. To find the intercepts, I did all the work here. I did my intercepts or my zeros by algebra, by factoring, and I factored out the negative 2 to make my factoring easier. What multiplies to equal negative 4, and what adds to equal positive 3. And that's why I chose the numbers positive 4 and minus 1. And whether it's decomposition or some other method, you find your factors equal to 0. 2 zeros on your graph. You have a 0 at negative 4, and you have a 0 at positive 1. And then algebraically, you were able to also find where it is on the y-axis. So the point 0 and 8, it should be on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 0 and 8 is a point there as well. So your calculator helped you find the maximum at negative 1.5 and 12.5. You used algebra to find your 2 zeros of your function at negative 4 and positive 1. And you did some algebra to figure out the y-intercept as well to be 0 and 8. And just to kind of wrap this up then, we're talking about the vertex, and the vertex goes back to your blinking point. And in this case, it was blinking at negative 1.5 and 12.5, and we can talk about changing those two fractions later on. You talk about a line of symmetry. It's the line that cuts the graph in half. That is, it's not at negative 1, it's not at negative 2. It's at the line where x equals negative 1.5. So that's the solution then to question or to example B.